Hey Mark, how you doing?
Good, Brian. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I know you were traveling a little bit. Did you have a good trip?
Yeah, we went to Disneyland. It was fabulous. My grandson's birthday, so we had a great time.
That's awesome. I heard you had nice encounter with Minnie Mouse there.
Minnie was, yeah, Minnie was a bit aggressive, but always sweet.
Okay, well, that's
I
good.
sent you the video, right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Pretty
Well,
funny.
well, we won't get into too much of that. If anybody wants to know, you can call me personally and I'll share. But
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, but no, welcome back. It's nice to have you back. We took an extra week off in between podcasts, but tonight we've got a cool topic. It's what I found in the workshops that we teach. This is one of those key things that leaders come into the workshop not understanding how important it is, but by the time they leave, they fully understand this. So this is a critical one. I think our listeners, our viewers tonight should really take good notes on this topic. This is one of the things that we find leaders are really just they're they're not successful with this piece. They sort of think they are. They put a lot of kind of fluff pieces in around this, but they're really not super clear on it. So tonight we're going to be talking about setting clear expectations. And I know you've got some great stuff on this, Mark. Do you want to sort of walk us all through it?
Yeah, so to your point, leaders tend to assume that expectations are clear. That's a big mistake. So what we found in our multi-decades now of research is that clear expectations are the foundation of great performance. Everyone can write that down. Let me say it again. Clear expectations are the foundation of great performance, which means that when expectations are not clear, great performance does not happen. And the leader owns this. And the leader often passes it off to the team. They own it. No, you own it. Until you're clear, you own it. So, and the other amazing thing is we've found in our analysis of winning leaders that clear expectations is the number one trait of winning leaders. What do you think about that?
Yeah, 100%. This is something I see all the time that leaders they're just not clear on this stuff, and they don't understand all the components that go into it. And I think that's sort of the root problem. They sort of just kind of tell people what to do, but they really don't get to setting it as an expectation, something that they expect to be delivered.
Yeah. So while clear expectations are the number one trait of winning leaders, the not winning leaders' number one trait is not clear expectations.
Yeah, right.
So it became very clear to us that the gap between winning leaders and not winning leaders, and we're talking about the top 10% performers versus the bottom 10% performers, was clear expectations. The teams were very clear in the winning leaders organizations. The teams were absolutely never clear in the not winning leaders, expectations. So if you step back from Gapology, it's truly based on, you know, clear expectations. That's what it's all about. Performance gaps are caused by not clear expectations.
Yeah, totally. So they don't set clear expectations. So what sort of things do you see these non-winning leaders doing instead of setting expectations?
Yeah, so assumption is the first big mistake. I said it on the call. Remember that? It was in the email, wasn't it? So they never verified clarity. So just because someone says something or someone types something in a text or an email, clarity should not be assumed. Clarity has to be, observed, has to be repeated back. So, Brian, what did I just say? Oh, thank you. Yes, but you're missing this part. It has to be clarified. So clear expectations require clarity. I guess that's why they're called clear expectations.
Yeah.
And assumption is the number one enemy. The other thing we found that was amazing was the winning leaders not only had clear expectations, but they knew the behaviors that equaled that. So they had a metric that would equal a clear expectation, but they also had clarified and understood and ensured that the team understood the behaviors that equaled that metric. Then it all comes together and clear expectations becomes real. It becomes behavioral. It becomes measurable, and it all really comes together. Um, the other amazing thing we found that many may not presume is true is that winning can be replicated and it can be taught. You can teach people how to win, and you can teach people um, how to replicate the process. It's not like winning leaders are born and those are the only winning leaders. We have seen many cases where an underperformer became a top performer because the leader became clear. So you as a leader own this. It's you. It's not the team, it's you. And once you're clear, then the performance of the team is clear. Underperformers will become quite clear once you're clear. Top performers will become quite clear and performing at a level that you may have never seen once you're clear. So it is about you. And this is, again, the biggest foundational piece of Gapology.
Yeah, I think you hit on something really important too, that we own this as the leaders. This is really something that we need to look in the mirror, and if our team's not performing, this is one of the things that to ask ourselves, have we set clear expectations? Because I think there's a lot of risk there by not setting those things. Certainly, it's going to impact your results. It's going to impact your overall team's performance and all that. But I think in addition to that, it can be extremely damaging to those A players, those top performers. If you're not clear on what you expect from them, that can be a major cause for them to sort of be disgruntled. Looking at the commitment ladder, they might slide down to that grudgingly compliant level. If you're not clear on this stuff, they want to know how to win. They want to be led by a strong leader. All the rest are probably fine with it, but those top players, they want it.
Yeah, one of the best friends you have is the habit ladder. So
Oh
the
yeah,
habit ladder actually allows you as a winning leader to know if you are clear. So the bottom step of the habit ladder is communication. Do not assume that you've done your part because you think you've communicated it. The second step up is verification. You ask everybody to walk you through it and you verify that they understood. That goes so far in terms of ensuring you were clear. The third step up is to ask for their commitment and agreement to do it. That's huge. And then practice and feedback is the next step, which again tells you again whether you were clear and whether they can do it. And then that creates habit. So when you're looking for a consistent rhythm of behavior, the habit ladder is a best friend in ensuring clear expectations. I don't think we called that out in Gapology. We sort of assumed it was a natural, but man, it works so well.
yeah, yeah. We initially were just looking at it through the lens of training, but ever since we started teaching this stuff, we see that habit ladder being applicable many times in many different scenarios in meetings, setting up meetings for success, to ensure that you've, validated the communication, understanding, agreement, practice, anything that you're trying to deliver out of that meeting, needs to get through all those steps. It's amazing how that fits into these different areas. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's a powerful tool.
the habit ladder works
Yeah.
everywhere,
Yep. Yep.
all the time. So when you step back from this a bit, when there is a performance gap, it's a gap between the expectation that you had and the actual result. So you have to get there first. And both the expectation and the performance result have a metric that you can measure. You know, wow, we expected this, but only got this. You need to also then define the behavior. We expected this, but didn't get it because of this. That makes it very clear. So once a leader can get to the point where they truly understand performance gaps, how they happened, closing them becomes relatively easy, and great performance is right there on the horizon. So again, a performance gap is the difference between the expectation and the actual result. And that again is foundational for Gapology.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to hear a little bit more about how you see expectations differing from goals or,
Oh yeah.
a mission or something like that. How does that differ? Because I think this is a point of confusion people have.
Yeah, yeah. So goals are really a red flag. Whenever I hear we have a goal, so a goal is sort of a nice to have, something we're shooting for. It really becomes optional. Be great if we could get there. It's a goal. An expectation is, no, we got to deliver on this. This is the number we need to hit. You need to produce this number. It's a totally different mindset. So the winning leaders did not talk about goals. They talked about expectations. They were keenly aware that an expectation and a goal are two different things. So again, goal for me, red flag,
Yeah.
red
Yeah.
flag, optional,
Right.
optional.
Right. I look at it as it's something that we will deliver because you're expecting to deliver it.
We
It's
got
not,
to deliver it.
yeah, it's not that you're shooting for it, but you're
Yeah.
going to deliver it.
Yeah.
That's
We need this.
that's the
Figure it out.
expectation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other great thing about clear expectations is that they clearly close the knowledge gap if it wasn't closed, and they close the importance gap. When that team can repeat back the expectations you have, game changer right there. When they understand the behaviors that equal that expectation, wow, you're well on your way.
Mhm.
And we found that again to be the key differentiating factor between winning leaders and the not winning leaders.
Mhm.
And the habit ladder was always right there. Even though the winning leader didn't know it, it was right there. They were using it. They had all come up with it. They hadn't read the book. The book hadn't been written.
Right. I think there's another important connection to make too is to under the action gap we have accountability. So without setting those clear expectations and validating understanding and agreement and those things, you you can't hold people accountable. You can't create a culture of accountability. You can't
Right.
do any of those pieces. And I think that's an important distinction. So, when leaders look at their performance overall and they're like, I need to rate up my team or I need to discipline or I need to do any of those things, drawing that connection back to your effectiveness on setting those clear expectations is really one of those first fundamental things that you have to do.
Yeah. And again, to repeat back something I said earlier, we have found over and over again that an underperformer can become a top performer when expectations are clear. The gap was the leader. The underperformer was not clear on what was expected. Once total clarity was gained, they became a top performer. Think about that. So, those of you that have underperformers on your team, start with you. It may be you. Are you clear on the expectations? Go back over it, go back through it, have them walk you through it. It's quite interesting how many underperformers we have seen that became top performers, or at least middle performers, by having clear expectations.
Right, right.
The leader's the key.
Yeah. Yeah. So a question that comes up often, Mark, in our workshops and so forth, is how do we determine what that expectation should be? These leaders are sort of sitting in a boardroom talking about what needs to happen. How do they determine what's possible?
Well, one of the things we did is we looked at the range of performance by leader. And then we looked at the top performers and said, wow, maybe this should be the expectation. So then we went and spent time with them and observed the behaviors that created these top performers. And we came to realize that, yeah, we can do this everywhere. We just weren't spreading the knowledge. So often your top performers are giving you a glimpse as to what's possible. And it's likely far beyond how you're performing as the leader in total. So go observe the behavior and determine if it can be replicated. If it can be replicated, there's your new expectation. There's your expectation for all. And again, it's a metric, a number based on what you're doing, and it's a set of behaviors that equal that. You need to go there and just observe and learn. Again, likely the top performers on your team are outperforming you. Suck it up, accept it, go find out what they're doing, and let's spread it everywhere. What do you think?
Yeah, no, for sure. Looking at those A players and seeing what they're doing, first of all, it gives you sort of that the credibility with the rest of the team. When you're setting an expectation, you can point to this group of people. This is what they're doing. This is why they're winning consistently. These are the behaviors and these are the results. The behaviors is what's getting there, and you can sort of coach to those behaviors. The other piece I think that's a big benefit there, Mark, is with those A players. If you point all this out and you lay it out for the rest of the team that they're sort of the example, they can then be your ambassadors to carry the expectations forward. So you can't always be with the team. They have this peer group of supporters and so forth. Having them as your ambassadors, I think, gives you extra power there.
Yeah, they can definitely mentor,
Yeah.
as you're describing.
Yep.
They likely came from a different place to get there. So they weren't always the top performer. They figured out how to get there. One of the things we've seen in the winning leaders is that they publish the results likely each week by person, by team, however you're structured, and they rank them so that every week it becomes clear who the top performers are and who the bottom performers are. Once you have that weekly ranking, if it becomes consistent at all, you know that the behaviors are likely quite different between the top and the bottom. And you can turn to that top group and have them walk the entire group through how they're achieving those numbers. The other thing that happens when they know you're going to publish the number with their name next to a number, it affects their performance for that whole week. So weekly publishing of exception reporting, which is what we call a ranking of the key metrics, really clarifies performance gaps and who the winning leaders are. And then you can go after, hey, what are you guys doing? Oftentimes we see people picking up the phone and calling them and saying, hey, how can I get where you're at? You're killing me. What's going on? And it's a significant behavior that winning leaders use to move the whole team forward because that winning leader wants to be number one every week. So they're ensuring their behavior equals that throughout the week. And that bottom group may not want to be the bottom anymore. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. No, and this is the exact connection to the accountability root solution. By measuring that stuff, posting it, putting names next to those results, that sort of starts to create that culture of accountability that we're talking about. But the sort of root of all that is setting these clear expectations up front, ensuring that you have a behavioral component, something that you can observe, look at, and that type of thing, and then having that result component, those metrics that you can measure, and you can point to those as the evidence of whether the behavior's in place or not. And all of that is the foundation for accountability.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
We found one other exercise that we wanted to share with you that was significant. We were we were rolling Gapology to a nationwide restaurant chain, and they were struggling with what the expectations should be. And we asked them, what are some of the things you do 100% of the time? And we had the team explore that. And at first they came up with, yeah, there's nothing that we really do 100% of the time. And Brian looked at him and said, well, wait a minute, you don't clean the table after the guest leaves? Oh, well, yeah, we do that
Yeah.
100% of the time. Oh, yeah, we do that 100% of the time.
Yeah.
You don't check the people out. You don't bring them a bill to pay and check them out at the end of their meal. Oh, yeah, we do that 100% of the time. So Brian started exploring with them, well, why do you do that 100% of the time? So then we were able to get to other things that could be 100% of the time rather easily, even within that context, that would drive performance off the charts. Could you offer gift cards 100% of the time at checkout? Well, yeah, that would be easy. Do you say thank you? So my point is by having a team explore what they do 100% of the time, it causes them to reflect on what clear expectations could be and how they can achieve a performance level that they hadn't really thought of. Because 100% is 100%. I go to In-N-Out Burger every week and they repeat back my order, two or three times, depending on whether I'm at the window or drive-through. That's a huge deal in terms of delivering great service so that I know my order's correct, they know my order's correct, that I get the order correct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's part of great performance. It's part of clear expectations. It's not some optional thing. If you ask McDonald's, do they do that? They would. What are you talking about? We don't do that. But they don't understand how critical that is. When I go to Chick-fil-A, 100% of the time they say my pleasure. 100%. They've figured out that that's a key element of execution for them. So anyhow, exploring what already is and what can be 100% execution is an interesting exercise that
Yeah.
leaders can grab onto, and it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's really a big deal.
Yeah, I sort of forgot about that exercise until, right now we're in the middle of looking at our book and we're revising it. We're going to be putting out a 15th anniversary edition. And so we're really going through each section and just updating some things, making sure we update it for, the modern world we're living in and so forth. And when I ran across that, I was like, oh, I totally forgot about that. We've never really talked about that on the podcast before, that particular exercise.
It's
Um,
huge.
yeah. And I think the key follow up to that is, when you do get them to share something they do 100% of the time, like cleaning the tables, asking the why. So why do you clean it after every customer? Why do you give them the bill and collect payment? And the reasons for it are always interesting. Well, we have cleaning standards, we have OSHA and all these things, right? We want to collect our money so we can pay the bills and pay our staff and so forth, and all these reasons, right? So tying in the why behind the things that we do, especially around the things that are the most important to our
Yeah.
overall objectives, our overall purpose, our overall expectations, is really critical. People need to understand the why behind it. And if you can draw that connection, you can really move the needle.
Yeah. That's huge. I mean, why report the order back at In-N-Out? So the order's correct 100% of the time. I mean, it's brilliant. I don't know why others haven't totally caught on to that. So that's what I've got. I mean, clear expectations are the foundation of great performance. Think about that.
Yep. And I wrote that down. That might be our title
I
because
love that.
originally I just said setting clear expectations. It felt kind of wimpy. I'm like, we need something more than that. So I think expectations, the foundation of great performance. I think that's great.
Yeah, clear expectations are the foundation of great performance.
Yeah.
I got that from a book called Gapology.
Oh, okay. I see one on your desk there.
Yeah, I've got a few.
Okay, that's good.
And a new one coming out.
Yeah, yeah, we're deep in the middle of this thing. It's going to be a nice update for anybody that has already purchased it, but it'll be a good version for anybody who hasn't yet gotten it yet. Uh, Summertime or so, we'll probably have it done. So, working on that hard now. But anyway, I think that's good, Mark. Thank you.
Great job, Brian. Thank you.
Yep, you too. We'll talk
Have a
to you
great
next week.
week.
All right, see ya.
Bye.